Because Mr. President is a very human president and is concerned for the plight of our people, especially the less privileged, he believes that the impact that removal of subsidy will have on the vulnerable, poor and vulnerable Nigerians should be mitigated. Because Mr. President is a very human president and is concerned for the plight of our people, especially the less privileged, he believes that the impact that removal of subsidy will have on the vulnerable, poor and vulnerable Nigerians should be mitigated. And he believes that certain structures must be put in place prior to the removal of subsidy. All those structures are not right now in place. One of those is to ensure that the refineries are working, and you are all aware that steps are being taken for all refineries to be functional very soon. The Dangote refinery is expected to come on stream at the end of this year. All our refineries, the Port Harcourt refinery, is expected to be performing at a certain capacity, not full capacity, by end of this year. There are some modular refineries that are also going to come on stream later this year. Also, there is discussion of introducing an alternate fuel for cars in the form of auto gas. And somebody asked what has happened since launching. A lot has gone on there. In fact, even today, if you had noticed, I briefed Mr. President on the progress that has been made on auto gas. We are hoping that in March or April, the conversion processes will begin. We promise that 1 million cars will be converted initially, and of course a corresponding amount of filling stations, gas filling stations, will also be built. That is in progress, and I want to assure you that it will happen very soon. That also has to be in place before we say, okay, we want to take out subsidy. We're also looking at palliatives. The Honorable Minister of Finance and her team are looking at possible palliatives for Nigerians as well. So because all these have to converge before we announce the complete removal of subsidy, because Mr. President especially wants us to ensure that this doesn't have too much impact on the people, we are now extending the time for subsidy removal. I will not want to specifically mention the time of extension, because that will be a product of a discussion with the National Assembly, because it is likely to involve an amendment of the PIA to extend the time. And I always do not want to preempt what time frame the National Assembly will allow. But definitely at this moment, fuel subsidy is not on the cards, or fuel subsidy removal is not on the cards. We have discussed with countries, discussed with original equipment manufacturers that are willing to come to Nigeria to set up, and they are actually willing also to give us 50% of the funding. We have discussed also, myself and the Minister of Finance, have discussed also on how we can match them with 50% so that it will be 50-50 from us and from the original equipment manufacturers. That discussion is already concluded, so it is not an ongoing discussion. I just needed to get Mr. President's final steer on it today. And of course, very soon it will be brought to Council, and as soon as we are through with Council, the process of our Nigerian marketers accessing the funding and the process of conversion and the building of the gas stations will begin. Because we need to put this thing all in place. Like I told you the other time, if you convert the cars without installing the capacity for the filling capacity, the filling stations to fill up these cars, then the cars it will not be a functional system, because the cars need corresponding filling stations. So if you convert the cars, you must provide also the corresponding filling station. If you build the filling stations and you don't convert cars, then the filling stations will also be hanging. So these have to go hand in hand. And that is really what is ongoing now. And I can assure you that all this will come together very soon before the subsequent removal of fuel subsidy.